Is 3D printing right for you? That's a question that I hope to help you answer. These are just my opinions and I have no sponsors. I've been printing with filament printers for about 5 months and felt it was time to share my views. I will not be covering resin printing, which is the other method that most consumers use. For pros, it's becoming more accessible. I simply wanted to make things. I was not interested really in the science of 3D printing. Once 3D printing became more mainstream, that was a tipping point for me personally. I don't want to fight the technology, I simply want to make something. A lot of the tools are free. With almost no investment, you can download 3D software for free right now and start designing things. I personally use Blender. Many of the things that you probably want to create may have already been modeled and you can download them free today. Before you start designing something from the ground up, make sure you're checking popular 3D model websites. My personal favorite is Printables.com. Yeah, this is a bit of a plug for them, but they do not sponsor me or this video at all. I'm just saying I love the site because you get to earn these cool badges and then you get free points for things that you do already. So why not just go ahead and do that, and then you can redeem some of those points for products. I do highly recommend checking out that site. It's ran by this company Prusa, and they're one of the leaders in 3D printing. I will include a link in the description for you. The community of makers is friendly. People are totally willing to share their designs, ideas, and knowledge. But do know this, it's a bunch of us nerds. I feel right at home, but it may not be the best place for you. You can customize your printer. You can even build one from scratch. There's lots of plans out there and people are willing to share their knowledge again. You can save money. For example, I created a soap dish, right? Cool. I went and found a comparable soap dish on Amazon. It's $10 right now on sale for $4.49. When I printed that soap dish, all in, including the electricity, I spent 28 cents. Yes, a little bit more than a quarter to print a better soap dish. You can create things that you've only dreamed about, and frankly, 3D printing is just cool. Now let's get into some of the cons. Physical pain. You are going to get burnt. It's probably a rite of passage. I haven't been doing it long enough to know this for sure in the community, but I will forget sometimes that the hot end is hot and I touch it with my fingertip and yeah, I get a blister. These normally run 208 to 240 degrees Celsius, or in Fahrenheit, that's 406 degrees to 464 degrees. Think about that. That's as hot as your oven in your house. Do you have a problem with the metric system? Well, you better get over it, pal, because almost everything in 3D printing is metric. Do you have any mechanical ability? There are physical moving parts in these things. They can harm you, so you never want to reach in to a running 3D printer. There are gears, motors, extruders, bolts, nuts, belts. You need to have some modicum of mechanical ability before you get into a 3D printer. Some assembly may be required. I own 2 3D filament printers. One I had to put together myself, and the other was mostly assembled, but the cost was almost 3 times what I paid for the one that I put together. Do you like working with computers? You're probably going to want to bring your dreams to life, right? Well, you can't really do that without being able to use a computer effectively. What's more is if you want to do a ground-up design, you probably need a powerful computer. How do you feel about failing? I gotta say, you're gonna fail. I did a lot, often. You're gonna get better. It's not perfect technology and we're not perfect people, but you will be forced to learn new things to increase your success rate. It's a recurring investment. You're gonna be buying consumables and you will be buying replacement parts. They may not be telling you that when you're talking to the salesperson, but think of it this way. It's not much different than a car. A car needs fuel, and a car needs tires and brakes and things like that. Well, my printers, they need filament, and sometimes they have little parts they're going to wear out, and you want to swap them out. And here's the thing. You will be doing that. There's really nobody you can take that to who's going to do it for you that I know of. You're going to want some good tools. A lot of them ship with some tools, but mostly they're junk. So yeah, invest in tools. And it's messy. You're going to get little pieces of filament everywhere. There's going to be little chunks. If you've got dogs, cats, kids, think about this in terms of a choking hazard. It could be dangerous. And it creates clutter. You're going to make these goofy little prints, even test prints, and it sort of is like Legos. Like they just multiply overnight. So make sure that you're good with your family and friends because you're going to be donating a lot of this junk to them. And the last con that I can think of is vendor support. Vendor support can be lacking depending on the company or wherever you buy your printer from. So just a recap here. Pros, it's gotten a lot more accessible. Free tools are available. A lot of models already exist. There's rich content and community support. You can customize your printer, meaning you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. And there's a potential to save money on necessary items. And you can make your dreams a reality. That's a huge one right there. The cons, yeah, there's potential harm. You could get burned. Somebody could choke on small parts. You could step on them. You can cut yourself with some of your tools. And you have mechanically moving parts. And some of them in the higher end printers move at very high speeds, faster than you can track with your eye. You have to get used to the metric system. Mechanical and technical stills are still somewhat a bit of a must. You have a high failure rate, which will get better over time, but there is a steep learning curve, and there is a continued investment in consumables, parts, and tools. And lastly, it's messy. Now, is it for you? I don't know. I will tell you this. If you had asked me 2 years ago, and it's June of 2023 right now, if you had asked me 2 years ago, would I do 3D printing? I would have said absolutely not. I don't want to mess with that printer. I want to make stuff. Well, I've been watching the industry and things have improved dramatically. And earlier this year, let's call it February or March, the industry started pivoting and really doing some cool stuff and making it a lot more accessible to people. So if you have some of those traits and you're like, hey, I can fix some, minor stuff here and there. I don't mind tweaking things and learning new stuff. Then yeah, I'd say go for it. Jump in, both feet. But if you're like, you know what? I want it to work like my LaserJet printer or my inkjet printer or my refrigerator, and I don't want to have any problems with it, then I would hesitate to recommend it for you. I think you should probably take a pass on it and get friendly with your neighbor or the neighborhood kid who has one and say, hey, can you go ahead and make me something? And if they don't do it for free, they'll probably do it for you at cost or very low cost. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.